What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to blackgirlcouch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We are back for another episode of The Flash. This is Season 7, Episode 15, Enemy at the Gates. Story by Joshua V. Gilbert. Teleplay by Thomas Pound. Directed by Jeff Schatz. And I gave this episode a 9.6 out of 10. Definitely back on its righted path. Now that we got a little bit more interesting things going on with the story arc. What's interesting when you do go on to Wikipedia, I like how they break down the season much more better. And if I had known that, like I knew they were going to break it down in 3 different types of graphic novels, so to speak. But they've actually done way more than that, and I don't have it up right now, and I'm not about to bring it up. But go on there, and the last 4 episodes, I think from the moment, from Goodbye Vibrations up until the last episode, that was considered an interlude, which makes a lot of sense if you're doing a lot of character work. I just wish that it was more apparent with them in the news, or maybe it is. I don't track the news very well, so I can't necessarily say that. But it was a pleasant surprise for me to see that there was an actual thought process to the episodes that they were putting together. And it lends just a little bit more respect from me because of it. Because it's telling me you had a plan. And as long as you had a plan, even if the plan is not successful, I can applaud you for having the plan. Because, yes, character building is not always fun if you're not even interested that much in the character that you're building up. Some work more effectively than others, like the Cecile versus the Allegra. But yeah, that all makes sense to me that this was an interlude so that basically everyone can level up one player that they got in their back pocket to deal with all of these Godspeeds that we're about to be dealing with, and we did deal with in this episode. Let's jump into the recap. Barry is at work. I don't know why I was so excited seeing him at his job, this place where he gets money. But I was excited to see that he's trying to pay them bills and not with just blood money. He looks up and sees Nora. I was so pleasantly surprised and happy. That little girl was a brat, but she was my brat. She was our brat, okay? So seeing Jessica Parker Kennedy show back up, I was all in my feels. It's like, oh, it's Nora, but that's his baby girl too. And she did die like right in front of him, and that's so depressing. She tells him not to worry, and despite how much they've been through, everything is gonna work out like it's supposed to. The exchange of I love yous and the hug, just all of it was exactly what my heart needed at the beginning of this episode. Barry takes this as a sign when he wakes up because he thinks it's a dream. I'm not sure. Was it a premonition? I don't know. It was wholesome to see her, but was there a point to that? I'm still putting that up in the air. Barry takes this, though, as a sign that he and Iris are preggers, and he calls her to tell her so.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down!
If this is an indication on how Barry's gonna act when Iris is pregnant, we gonna get a lot of... Barry gonna be the type of supportive husband that he gonna actually have the same cravings. When she gets pain, he's gonna feel pain too. There are some men that are like that. They're so attached to the process. Barry has collected a urine sample from Iris, who has been a little sick lately. Loved him searching for his car keys, because it's something, 1, he never uses. And 2, it's a domestic bit of trivial thing that we all go through. Like, where the fuck is those car keys? Like, why do we not put them in the same spot? And even when we think to put them in the same spot, for some reason they're not there. You're like, who moved my car keys? I know, like, this thing's got 20 different keys on it. I got pictures, I got cards. This is supposed to be easily found, and yet it is always not discoverable. He is excited and can barely contain himself when Cecile shows up at the door with the file for Iris that she requested. Barry tells her she isn't home. She's like, isn't that her laptop?
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop fucking lying.
She knew something was up. Like, she called me for this file. How you gonna tell me she ain't here? I had better things to do with my morning. By the way, sidebar, I did find out that Candace Patton was not in this episode and might not be in the next episode as well due to some personal things. So I'm glad I was informed. Like, I didn't miss her this episode, but at the same time, I could tell that she was written to be in the episode. And I love how they handled her not being in the episode. It still felt like she's unwell, she's sick, she doesn't want to be out. That happens to everyone, right? But Cecile is like, why are you acting like a dork? But are we still on for lunch? We better be on for lunch because it's per our usual. Before Barry slams the door in her face like he wasn't just leaving. Like, these are just protein bars. I'm just so amazed that Barry really went upstairs and was like, pissing this. He wouldn't go buy a home pregnancy test. Oh no, metadNA can eschew that. I gotta do this myself. I gotta go to the lab. He said there was blood in there. I don't know if there was, but I have a feeling he probably did. While Iris was sleeping, he just put a tourniquet on it real quick. I'll just take that. Oh, I swear, imagining half the things that Barry was doing is just as fun as watching what Barry was actually doing. Moving on to a storyline that is not my favorite, but I'm learning to deal with it. Frost is angrily doing art only to be told by Chester that her friend Mark is actually released on parole, though she doesn't buy that he's turned a new leaf. And I don't even know why one and the two should be associated. Getting your own ass out of jail does not mean that you are now a good person. It just means I'm a snitch. It means CYA. I'm gonna do what I need to do so that I don't go down for my crimes by snitching on other people. Like, turning state witness is not something to be proud of, nor is it something that means you're all of a sudden a good person. So I was kind of with her, like, okay, so he's out of jail. That doesn't make him any less of a criminal and doesn't all of a sudden make him a good person. And unless we forget, he set me up for other crimes, including murder. But we supposed to be in love with this story because he's so cute. And she just can't get over how he's now on limits.
It's tearing up my heart when I'm with you, but when we are apart, I feel it too. And no matter what I do, I feel the pain. With or without.
Chester is like, what you gonna do? Stalk him? Because that's kind of crazy. Frost.
I'm just the crazy slut with a dead husband.
Kramer is with Joe and is impressed that Joe has gotten further in a week than she did in years. Adam, is it Craig or Craig? I think it's Craig. Adam Craig is seen stealing the explosives before the attack. However, that mini should have been lethal. Killed everyone in sight, but she survived, and he wonders how she did that. She only has fragmented memories of that day. Adam knew he'd survived too and ensured that she did using his meta ability. Joe is able to ascertain, due to Adam's background and him wanting to be in the Navy, that he must have a boat. And there was a schooner named Rasputin. Really, Rasputin, if you don't know who that is, he brought down the Russian... Well, he's partially to blame for the for the breaking down of the Russian monarchy, if you want to call it that. Well, I guess it was that. So yeah, crazy story about that guy. He also could not be killed. Like, they tried to kill him and murder him so bad, they drowned him. They tried to they ended up, just look, Google him, go into history, it's fascinating. But apparently that schooner was near the city 6 weeks after Operation Griffin. Joe tells her this needs to be about justice, not vengeance, but Kramer has reasons for both. I just hope she really isn't in on it, because I really like her. I've liked her since the beginning. I don't know what I think it's her calm presence and the fact that she do be speaking on them facts most of the time. And despite the fact that we had this whole thing with her and Frost, I feel as if they just made her the villain just because they had nothing better to do and to horn her into the story. But they could have used someone else for that. Modem speaking Godspeeds show back up. So what's going on with that? Tune in from the break and you'll find out. Frost then shows up to where Chillblaine is, or Mark, because I cannot stand the name Chillblaine. He is getting his butt kicked by a trio of people because snitches do get stitches. And he got knifed. Especially when you want to get back in the line of work with the same kind of people you ratted out. Kind of asking for that to happen. Frost saves him only to reluctantly take him to Star Labs for treatment since he's banned from all hospitals. I'm like, girl, that's just a scratch and he is playing on your heartstrings. Oh, I can't stand up. It's like this tiny, you weak ass wuss. Barry runs into Chester at Star Labs, who wonders why he drove. Like, why is the speedster driving? But that's a kind of like, why are you asking me this question? I can't drive my car, Chester. I can't once in a while just not use my speed, even though I understand completely. Then Chester's like, do you got a Flashmobile? And I was like, that's a good idea. Chester, why don't you go ahead and build that? Then you can roll out to the fights and not be up in that trash ass van. Y'all need to pimp my van. He can't run as the blood and urine must be protected. He told him Caitlin is his GP. Chester's like, isn't that a little weird for your friend to be your GP or your primary care doctor? No. But it's really not. And she really has been since the beginning. I mean, they took her out of the hospital and technically Star Labs has been his GP for quite a while now. Chester, you need to get the handbook. Because then he asked another question earlier, like, you met your daughter? I'm like, you need to get the handbook, sir. Don't pop up talking about this, they're multiverses like Ralph. Apparently though, his GP double booked in the med lab because Caitlin is in there with Ultraviolet and Allegra. And I was like, this chick really ain't in jail. She had murdered so many people, but jail is not. Look, I get things were done to her, but Cecile can handle her court case and plead down to what happened, or based on what happened to her. There's no reason she would not go through due process though. Y'all gotta stop acting like due process don't exist. And it's not to say if you a petty criminal that Star Labs could be like, whatever. But she has murdered folks. And she is, Allegra, debating with her cousin about the surgery. The mask is hiding the damage and is also keeping her alive, and that also is what kept her subservient via a chip. Allegra pleads Mi Familia not to die, as she is trying to save not the meta persona, but her cousin Esperanza. Barry calls Iris and tells her plan B, let's go to my lab at CCPD, or I am going to go to my lab at CCPD and we will do the test there. When he gets there, Cecile shows up for lunch and I'm like, damn, I felt like I just saw you. I would have said and wonders what he is doing with urine. I did love her face when she figured it out, like, is someone having a baby? And then Barry's face of, no, but yes. It was precious. Someone attacks and he gets Cecile to safety. At Star Labs, Chester determines it was Godspeed, and they think he possibly may have escaped from Iron Heights, and Iron Heights does a shitty job of sending out alerts, but no, there are two of them, because it's not fast enough to be in two places, so there must be duplicates. Before he and Barry and Frost, can handle it, the Godspeeds disappear. What is up with that? How do they appear and disappear? I see no wormholes. I don't know. Barry doesn't want to mobilize Iris or the Citizen, as he thinks she may be carrying precious cargo and must be kept safe. Chester will make an algorithm words to try and decipher the modem speak. Caitlin patches up Mark, all the while asking her sister, Caitlin, what is it going to take to get in your sister's panties? Both women just really would like him to shut the fuck up while they talk about their issue with Godspeed. Caitlin is told to focus on surgery because that's what you're good at. Like, I do the hero shit. You do the medical shit. That's the deal there. I know that seeing Mark shirtless may impress some, but it does nothing for me. All I see is 3 inches and have the smell of like grease, like oil from a car battery. That's what I see when I look at Mark every time. I don't judge anyone who likes what they see. Hey, to each their own. I'm saying it does nothing for me except why you ain't got no shirt on. You couldn't have like lifted your shirt up. It's already got blood on it, so it's not as if you... I will give him the relevant points that he made to her, that you guys in Star Labs just like judge everyone, and you really don't have your team don't have the right to play judge, jury, sometimes, and never executioner. It depends on who you are in Team Flash. But you can't judge someone based on who they were yesterday if they are trying to be better the next day. The thing is, that's something to be earned, not just, hey, I stated it, so you have to respect me now. And considering we haven't heard an apology from your mouth about, trying to kill and set her up for crimes, I'm not, until that happens, even if it does happen, that's a toxic relationship. I don't want to see that. I feel as if she could do better, but she wants to do right at this one. So, okay. Caitlin's job is to be a doctor, and that is where she should stay. I felt the need to write it in my notes twice. Cecile comforts Allegra while surgery commences, except they are not even trying to sterilize that environment. Barry shows up knowing Godspeed is back and attacking a power plant that can cause major damage. He wants Frost and Allegra to stay at Star Labs as the last line of defense, and if that's our last line of defense,
It's the end of the world as we know it.
he gets to the power plant and asks what the Godspeed wants. The algorithm reveals what Godspeed is saying. I have him.
It's a trap!
Several Godspeeds then show up, and he runs, advising Chester to initiate Babel protocols for the force field. He slams into home base, but barely escaping the 6. Was it 6 Godspeeds? I thought there were 5, but maybe there were 6. I think there were 5 initially, but they said a dozen, but if he only had to move one up, why not? The Godspeeds are trying to break through and will succeed in the next hour. Barry is already in overprotective mode about Iris. Like, Barry, you okay? I'm just glad Iris is not here. Chester tells him, when he's concerned about the team, that we can handle ourselves and danger was in the welcome package, so it's all good. And at least the city is safe with them concentrating on him. Barry checks in with Iris and leaves her a message as he's determined to keep her and the baby safe. Although he ain't got no confirmation, Chester overhears and congratulates him because he's like, yeah, you already shared TMI, so you're acting weird. Iris is sick. I can put 2 and 2 together. And congratulates him, but we'll keep it quiet. Barry knows it's a girl, but Chester points out him knowing he had a child can change all the predetermined outcomes in the future. His surprise, Barry, when he realizes he has 2 kids and one of them is a boy. But he wants his baby girl back. Chester recalls that he came to find him, not to spy, but because he came up with a plan. And realizes that the Godspeeds can predict behavior based on how Barry will respond, but not the unpredictable. Barry tells him if the clones get in, Chester is to go to the time vault, because Chester is going to use their noise against them. Frost gives Mark back his shit and wants him to help, but not because he's a hero. He'll never be that by his own admission, but he does understand self-preservation. But didn't you want to help earlier to prove that you've quote-unquote changed? Chester can basically use their noise via the CCPD server so that they can't strategize and the trio can take them down. All of a sudden, Mark is in the trio. I feel like Barry should have been like, can we vet this motherfucker? Chester, did you complete the background check on this strange person that Frost has locked in our break room, please? Esperanza without the mask looks like a whole different person. She's very pretty. She is suffering, so Cecile does something that makes sense, able to calm her down, sharing her feelings of peace and confidence in yoga, that everything is gonna be just fine. The clones have chosen a new path. Oh, speaking of that scene, I have to say, I hate when characters be like, do something, you gotta do something. No, I don't. And I am doing it. It's a strange day when I'm with Kate, like, what I gotta do is sew up this damn suture. What you need to do is back the fuck up. Tell me what I gotta do. I'm already doing enough. Back to the clones. They have chosen a new path, draining the force field of its energy. They breach and Chester makes it to the time vault where Gideon is a character again, helping him commence his plan by playing the noise over the Star Labs speakers. I did like the use of slow-mo. Sometimes it can be a little too much, but if it's done right, it adds to an already, it's speedster, so slowing it down a little bit is beneficial. The Prodigy's diesel power was a great musical choice to the fight scenes. Did I need the wink from Mark? No. But Frost was kicking major ass with that stunt kick. I loved it, especially when she kicked the other Godspeed. I was like, okay, I see you. How Godspeed was able to get in the panic room, who knows, but it does, cutting off the noise that allows them to effectively fight back. They are all about to be murdered, but Barry faces off all 3, fed up.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane!
They give chase, saving his other teammates, and damn, they threw several combined lightning bolts at him.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Then they start draining him of his speed. However, 6 more Godspeeds show up and start attacking the other 5.
What the hell's going on? What the hell is going on?
And just like that, they are gone. Everyone reconvenes at Star Labs. Sorry if my voice sounds a little weird. I just choked for about 15 to 20 minutes. So what happens when you're laughing and then you try to take a drink and it goes down the wrong side and then it's like, holy shit. Ultraviolet is recovering and Allegra thanks both Cecile and Kate. No one understands why there are a dozen Godspeeds, but they didn't get barely any of Barry's speed. Barry thinks the others were playing a game of survival of the fittest mode, more so than helping him, and they determine it must be a civil war. Frost and Mark almost share a kiss, but something explodes and he escapes like that wasn't an option. She did lock him up. Like you can't leave, which is weird. They have a weird relationship. I forgot she did lock him in the break room. Like, you don't have a choice. So maybe he did need to escape now that he had one. Cecile and Barry get back to those results. Iris is sick and he hopes more than anything that when he mentions that she's sick, he wishes she was there. But more than anything, he hopes that their child has her heart and her fearlessness. Barry is hella disappointed when Iris is not pregnant and wonders what their future is. I mean, there is try again, Barry. Doesn't he just took the dream really as the whole catalyst for everything. He really thought this was about to happen. And so now he's a little disappointed because he doesn't know what that dream meant. But it also could just be a dream, bruh. Kramer and Joe are staking out Adam's place, and she can't believe they are this close to solving the case. Joe wonders if she's nervous arresting Adam. She says she went into intelligence, Adam went into special forces, and had a knack for killing, which the army utilized to very massive effect. Something changed him, and she wonders what changed him to betray her like he did. Oh shit, we doing explosions on the Flash? Cause we get a car explosion. They were almost killed by somebody, and I guess we'll find out next week. Very, very solid episode. Can't wait for the next one. We do have feedback. We're gonna start this week with Mimi. Let's jump into the mailbag.
What up, Stina? It's Mimi. This is my feedback for The Flash Season 7. I believe this is episode 15. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember. But I just watched it probably I would say it was probably between like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. And I know I told you I was going to send feedback right after, but like it took me a minute to get my thoughts together and digest exactly what was happening, because to be honest, I started off loving this episode, and then my love kind of tapered off to like frustration, irritation, like ugh. I don't even know how else to describe it. Like I don't like where this is going, or at least maybe, my expectations were not even expectations. My thoughts of where the plot was going from the first scene to where it ended, it didn't connect, and it kind of pissed me off. Like, I just think that, I just watched it. So maybe if I had given myself like a day in between, or at least, several hours, because usually I watch it right, if I'm off Tuesday, I'll watch it. Never live because I don't like commercials, but it's on my DVR and I can access it from my computer while I'm in Washington. So I'll watch it like maybe an hour after it airs, just so I can fast forward through the commercials. And sometimes I'll do 30 minutes and end up getting caught up at the end, so I can't fast forward, but that's only if I'm not working on Tuesdays. But no matter what, if I work Tuesday night, then Wednesday when I get off work, I'll watch it and then go to sleep and then wake up and send feedback. So it just gives me more time to get my thoughts together, and I didn't quite have that. So that's why I was trying to wait to see if I felt any differently, but I'm still not liking the ending of this. And when I say ending, I am solely talking about the Flash, like Team Flash, not the little side projects that we got going on, like Frost and Cecile, Allegra. I like Chester, but I don't really care what he got going on right now either. The two storylines that I care most about right now is what Joe is doing with Kramer, and of course Iris and Barry, and now Godspeed. So that first scene when we got to see my girl Excess, when I realized it was really her, like, and not like a flashback or something like that, I was like, is that my girl JPK? Like, Jessica, you really there? And then they got close up and I was like, oh my God, that's my boo thing. And that hug between Barry and Nora, I literally screamed. Like, I could not, and I wasn't expecting it. So because of that scene, I had expectations. And I'm not saying I expected the Thunder Twins to, that's not what they're called, the Thunder Twins. I'm thinking about a TV show I watched, a Nickelodeon, that was called the Thundermans. Don't judge me. I like shows like that. Darren dragged me enough. I used to watch it with Derek, 2 years ago in the air, but he ain't into that mess no more. But anyway, there's not the Thunder Twins. I think it's the Tornado Twins. So anyway, like, I wasn't expecting them to, like, bust out and, us see them. But I thought it had, like, the way they were, because Nora was in the beginning, she would somehow be connected to, Godspeed. And I guess at this point that could still be the case. We don't know. But, like, I just hate that they showed us that opening scene and not Nair twins showed up again. And we know they're coming, because those are the kind of spoilers you cannot, you can't not see unless you don't watch TV at all. If you watch anything, or you're on social media, I should say, you're going to see it. Because even if you don't want to, it'd be jumping in my eyeballs all the time, especially on Twitter and Tumblr, if anybody's still on there. So I think that's probably why this episode was so irritable. But I mean, before I get into the things that really got on my nerve, I can talk about the things I liked. I wasn't so irritated with Frost so bad, because I feel like they made it work somehow with her being there, but I still hated the idea that they're like, why are you trying to push this relationship? And the first thing I want to talk about Mark, since I don't remember what his dumbass, villain name is, and I guess not a villain anymore, or so he wanted us to think. Like, you just snitched, and it's on national news. It's literally, they put that shit on the front page of the Central Citizen newspaper, and you bring your ass back to the villain spot. Negro, what did you expect? Like, seriously, what did you think was gonna happen? You snitched, and it's public knowledge. If you know snitches get stitches, and in your case, snitches should be murdered because you turned state witness, which means you must have brought down some big dogs in order to get your dumb ass out of jail for life, and you were in Iron Heights because you're a weak ass fake meta. So you bringing your ass back to the spot where your villain peeps are, you deserve to get your ass murdered. Like, just bottom line, straight up. If it was me, I would be like, look, as soon as I turn state witness and y'all let me out, I'm leaving the country. So if you're gonna put any restrictions on where I can go, I'm not doing this. I am not staying in this place knowing that I just snitched on these mugs and you about to publicize it. I don't feel like they should have, but this is TV. But anyway, I would like, either you let me leave, like everything's expunged. I'm not here no more. I'm not a criminal. I don't exist. Give me some money and let me go. Like, that would have been how I handled it. If I snitch on somebody, you best believe y'all ain't never seeing my ass again. Cause snitches don't get stitches, they end up dead. Like, that's real life. If you talking about some, like, real gangster shit, your motherfucking ass is gone. And you can't trust going back to jail either, because if you snitch on someone and you get caught doing some dirty shit, chances are you gonna die in jail, because somebody gonna take that hit, be like, it's fine, I'm in here for life, let me go ahead and get me some money put on my books, and they murder your ass in the shower. So he's stupid. But then, like, for Frost to think that he changed, like, I understand that she, gave him back his cuffs because she wanted to fight the Godspeed, but it just didn't make sense that she was all googly eyed. Like, it looked, she was trying to fight the fact that she liked him, but then she went ahead and did it, and then he played her in the end. And that's the part that I was trying to get to, that I liked. The fact that he showed his true colors, and they're not going to make this a ship, because I was really pissed off that they did that to her. I don't even like Frost, the character or the actress, but like, that don't make no sense for them to give her a love interest that literally tried to kill her and is a villain. And he's not a villain trying to be good. He's a villain that turned state witness just to get out of prison. But I'm glad he played her, because now we can be done with that dumbass storyline. I know I put some negative stuff in there, but for the most part, I liked the way it ended. I liked that they were not pregnant, because I would have been so salty if Barry had found out that Iris was pregnant and she wasn't there. I mean, I personally think that, because Barry has a theory that because of the babies having, well, the baby, because they don't know it's twins, the baby having meta DNA, it's affecting the results, so you can't see the HCG. I think she is pregnant, especially if she's sick. And if she not pregnant and she's sick, Barry, I'm gonna need you to take her to the doctor. That's all I'm gonna say. But I think that they're gonna have some type of, like, something is happening right now with the timeline that's being a little, like, you know, it's trying to resolve itself. It's trying to get itself fixed, because I don't know if we're supposed to understand, but when Barry was talking about Godspeed and then he had all these things that they were doing, I'm like, I don't remember any of this. So I'm going to need an update, like a refresher course, so to speak, of what we learned from Godspeed last time. I thought the only, like, they were like thrown in just random bouts of, okay, this really isn't Godspeed, this is fake. But I don't remember them coming up to any conclusion. So when Barry started talking about the Godspeeds, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't remember any of this. But my theory has always been that these Godspeeds are from the future and they're coming back to steal his speed for something. And then I was like, you know, I don't know why, but ever since, Christina, you brought this up, it's been in the back of my mind that our Bart Allen is somehow going to be evil. And somehow him and Excess are battling, and that's why they have these Godspeeds fighting. They're from the future, and one is trying to steal Barry's speed, maybe because he hates being a speedster. I don't know, maybe, you know how they be coming with some convoluted way to have some family drama, or maybe because Barry died again in the future, and because of that, Bart hates the fact that his dad's a speedster, so he's trying to take his speed away. And then Nora's like, well, it wouldn't be, I don't know if her name's going to be Nora. It doesn't matter. If they're like, well, we can't do that because then we're not going to be speedsters. And I want to be a tornado twin. Blah, 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 blah. So that's my theory. I don't know that it makes sense, because I don't even understand what the hell the Godspeeds are supposed to do. I don't know what Barry was talking about when he was talking about all the stuff they knew. I don't remember any of that. But I'm just going to throw that out there. So I think because I was expecting it to be some type of, when they started fighting, some type of like battle of wills between speedsters, we were going to see some inkling that maybe this is from the future. And then I could have, you know, confirmation that maybe my theory is correct. So maybe that's why I didn't like it. But I didn't like the ending. And I just was confused. And the fact that Godspeed knew where the time vault was, and he broke in, that was real, like, suspicious to me. How do you know that? Clearly, you have been here. Clearly, you know someone. And it didn't seem like he was affected by the, like, transmission. So that seemed like that was a real Godspeed. Hence, being Bart Allen. But that's just my theory. Anyway, so I think because my mind had all these theories flowing around, and then we just see them fight and take off, I was mad. So at least I figured out why I was all salty about the ending. I do like how Joe figured out that whatever city they were in, Adam is there and he's on a boat. And Kramer agreed to not go all Rambo and kill him. It's because she wants some vengeance. She's okay with just getting justice, so that was cool. And I guess I didn't really care for the Allegra Esperanza thing. I will say that I don't know if the actress that plays Allegra is just short, or if the actress that plays Ultraviolet is tall, but when they're like talking to each other, calling each other cousin, I'd be cracking up because she looked like she about 9 inches taller than her. And she's so slim, but it looks like intimidating. Like she looked like she about to beat Allegra's ass at any minute, and it cracks me up. And I don't think those scenes are supposed to be funny, but they make me laugh. And like the last part, I want to talk about, like, I know as a Candace stan, we're like, oh hell no, why isn't she in here? But I honestly, and this is just before I found out really why Candace Patton wasn't in this episode, my thought is like, you know, if you have a job, because they're, you know, filming for what, like 8 months out of the year, so they get 4 months to themselves. I figured, you know, there was episodes in season 5 where Barry wasn't in, and even some in, you know, this season and the season before that, and he's the main character, the main star, Grant is. So I just assumed that she took a vacation. You know, I feel like they should be allowed to do that. You know, if I had a job that I had to be at all the time for 8 months, like not taking one day off, I would fucking hate it. I don't care how much money I'm getting paid, because, you know, you need downtime, especially like just thinking about vacations make you feel better because you know what you're working towards. But like 8 months and you have to look forward to the 4 months or however long that they have. I know that they are in Vancouver, which none of them live at. So that's them being away from their family for that long. That sucks. So, but now that I know the real reason, I'm glad she got time off. Even if it wasn't that and it was just, I just don't want to be here, I'm going to go on vacation because I just lived through a pandemic, that's fine too. Like, I think people are forgetting that, and when I say people, I'm talking about these people on, you know, that are just mad about everything. You know, why isn't this person in the episode? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? Y'all gotta remember, like, we all went through some shit. Everybody is dealing with the trauma of the pandemic different. There's people that literally lost a lot of their family. I literally cared for a family where both parents got COVID from their child, and then both of them died. So I don't know how many people can, you know, in the healthcare field know stories like that, but I can imagine a lot. So people have been through shit. Even if you like weren't directly related to someone who died, and you just heard like a coworker, like that has an effect on you. You know, maybe you have survivor's remorse. Like, I wasn't affected at all, but all these people around me have someone that died or a coworker died. Like, that stuff's rough. So you gotta let people, you know, deal with it how they want. If they're a TV star, they're still human. Let them be off on a day. It's fine. Okay? They will figure it out, and we will see them. Y'all know Candace didn't quit The Flash. Y'all know she gonna be in an episode. Let that woman breathe. I'm glad she shared the real reason, but if she hadn't, I wouldn't have been mad. That's her business, and we all have a right to privacy. So, okay, I feel like I've said everything I can say, and I've been talking for a long time, and I know I'm about to be dragged. So let me just end it here. Sorry if you heard some noise. I was walking around and I'm pretty sure I tripped over and knocked something over. So if you heard that, my bad. I don't know how to edit like Christina, so y'all just have to hear it. Until next time, love, peace, hair grease, the Black Girl Magic, Queen of the Couch, Mimi out.
That was Mimi with her thoughts on the episode. Yeah, first order of business. I cannot clown Shy and not be fair and clown the fuck out of you for all 17 minutes of that feedback. I say 10 and they're like my children, like, And then Shy always says, but it's the Flash. Anyhow, I cannot, if anyone else sends feedback, basically send whatever, because I try to make rules, but I really don't even stick to them myself. So if we get like 5 to 10 people, then I guess I'll just initiate some rules. Like, nah, y'all can't have my ass being up here editing all day. So back to her thoughts on the episode. So she liked the beginning, but here's the thing about expectations. I said it last week. I surely did. I think that it is, going back to is excess connected to Godspeed? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I ever even really thought that they would be connected. I didn't have that thought. So that was an expectation you had. I did not. But it's possible there is a reason why she was introduced at the beginning of this story. I think when it comes down to it's that breaking down, which I did go ahead and pull up since I was listening to feedback and editing at the same time, how they broke down the season. So the first 3 episodes, that was finishing up graphic novel 2, Reflections and Lies. Then we have God Complex, which was graphic novel 3, which included episode 4 through 11. So that makes sense. All of that was about the forces and all that shit and whatever. Cool. Then you had Interlude 1, which was Goodbye, Vibrations, Masquerade, and Rayo de Luz. The last 3 episodes. Cool. Now the next 4 episodes is graphic novel 4. So this is technically the first episode in a whole series of episodes. So I think knowing that going into it pretty much set me up from a way different expectation than what anyone else probably was even thinking. I don't keep a lot of what the spoilers, like, I know what you mean. Some things you just can't fucking avoid because people always putting it out there. And when I say people, I mean they take, when you're filming in Canada, people just hanging around taking photos and then putting them online and then making sure that everyone in America, and then the tabloids pick it up, and then you can't avoid it. I think the tabloids should stop publishing those stories, but if they don't, then there's going to be readers that want to know that shit and expect them to publish it. So it's a two-way street. So I try to curb. The only thing I can control in that variable is myself. So every time I go into a Flash episode, I have 0 expectations because any expectation sets you up for failure. So I even with the knowing what I know about what's coming in the twins, I haven't been like calculating like a lot of people have been. I'm looking at you, Trey, from Married to the Fucking Real. I can't even listen to him anymore. I love you, Tasha. I can't listen to him because he's going so far based on his comic knowledge too that he's putting too many things in, and then when it doesn't live up, then it's time to bitch. And to me, that's not a fair part to do. You can't jump 20 times ahead of the story and then get mad at the story because they're not doing it that way, or they're not going here in this way. Well, we only have 3 episodes. How are we going to do this? Who's to say everything needs to be finished? We already had so much shit in this season. I think this last act should be a transition into the next season. It's not, and it should not be completely finished by the end of the season. And I think that expectation is a little silly to think that we're going to wrap up this Godspeed thing. It got introduced in the first episode all the way back in season 6. So that's why you don't remember anything, because it was a long fucking time that the whole Godspeed thing has even really shown its head. Actually, season 5 is when Godspeed first showed up. So this has been a long time coming future event type of thing. It's slowly being played, and see, I like that it's slowly being played and that I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't have those same types of thought processes, not only because of the expectation thing, it's because I don't know what they're gonna do with Godspeed. I'm not jumping into whatever and figuring out what they're gonna do, because after they just did the whole fucking graphic novel 3 with all the forces, that's not the storyline that happened in the comics. So they're gonna put their twist on it, and it's gonna be different than what you may be having in your mind pictured. So like I said, some people, not in your case, because I think that, thinking something's gonna happen at the end of the episode that's introduced at the beginning That's natural. But I think for those that are really committed to a certain arc coming to fruition and thinking that it's going to be a translation from the page and then getting people hyped about it, and then when you don't know what you're talking about and it's not going that way, being like, well, I'm disappointed. No, you are going based on your own fucking knowledge, and you maybe need to dial it fucking back and just watch the damn show. Sorry, that was a long time coming of a rant. It's really making me dislike the show because it's arrogance in a way, and then you try to backtrack your own fucking arrogance. I hate it. So that's my feelings about that. I think that a lot of people have thoughts about the kids. I think I gave my thoughts about the kids last episode. It doesn't need to happen anytime soon. It needs to happen like maybe in the mid of season 8. That's an appropriate point, or towards the end of season 8. Not if you plan on stretching this out for 10 seasons. If you want everybody to leave in a season or 2, sure. And I know there are some people who are looking over at Supergirl, or not Supergirl, what's the one that I don't watch? Superman, Lois and Clark, whatever that show is. And they're going, well, there's 2 kids in here. Look how old them damn kids is. So unless they're going to do a fucking time jump that nobody's going to want to see, you got to start putting your expectations in the proper category. Like, think about these things. It's kind of when you going back to the end of it with you're talking about fans and them jumping on. So I think some people just live to complain. They have nothing else to do. But seriously, most of them are children. And I do mean children. They haven't reached their 18th birthday, so of course they're not using common sense. And we want to be an adult and be like, let me help you out here with some thoughts. But at the same time, I ain't got time to babysit. I don't want to be a babysitter. I don't want to go on social media and educate folks on how to use their brain. This should be, no one should ever have to explain why I'm not in an episode of a show. Why do I need to sit in, because you stalking people on social media and listening to their every word and coming up with your own hypothesis? That was not a word. Hypothesis, because you ain't got a life. It's these people that, like, seriously, I don't even bother with them. I don't acknowledge them. Only when y'all bring them up is the only time you get me on these rants. And I think do y'all know what you're doing? You doing this just because you want to hear me start ranting? Because, yeah, it's not without the realm of any possibility that every job usually comes at least with a day or two of fucking vacation. Like that, it's like some people don't see celebrities as people. They see them as the things in which they can obsess over. And obsession is, I don't know why that's all of a sudden become an attractive trait. It's not to the rest of us that are sane. It's not okay. People should be able to live their life. They don't need to come out and explain how they feeling. I don't owe you that. I think that there's really become a disgusting amount of fanfare in the last 10 years, and it's getting worse. Maybe I just wasn't in it before, so maybe I can't make that type of if it's worse. I don't know if that's too big of a statement, but from my observation in the last 10 years that I have been on social media, it has been a steep decline of people out there and fandoms that have, it's toxic. It's not healthy. It's not a place where, I'm sure there are pockets of civilization that you can really listen to and interact with people who are on your level of emotional intelligence. But unfortunately, I feel like the trend isn't to be that. The trend is to be out there and acting your ass and being who can be this person on, so like, I don't, like, I really wish that people had to show their ID or something. I don't know. I don't think anonymity is doing any favors in the world. And for those that are not anonymous, that's just sad. I just don't have the respect for those people to even address what they're saying. I think that's where it ultimately boils down to. If you can't figure out that someone would need a break, or that things happen in the world, or that someone needed, whatever the case may be, someone not showing up in a fucking episode. Like, if I hadn't known that, I would have watched this, and I learned it, actually. Sasha told me, yeah, right before I was going to watch the episode. But the whole time I was watching the episode, I was like, man, if this was really just filmed without, and she had no reasons, what would be the purpose? What is this? What happened that you think that this all of a sudden needs to go down some melodramatic fucking speculation rally? She wasn't in an episode. Oh my God. Yeah, as you pointed out, Grant's not been in episodes. Daniel's not been in episodes. I'm sure other people, they come and go. That's what the show's been doing for a while now. Why are y'all? Because you want to. Because that's... Let me stop. Because I've said more than I even wanted to say about said topic. But, yeah, expectations will definitely... And I've been butthurt before for expectations. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have them ever. But I do think that a lot of the Flash's expectations are built on people who know the comics or whatever, or people really getting a little bit of news and flying with it and then running the Flash videos, and everyone just sitting there speculating, is over speculating. And if you go too far and you ain't got nothing to do and you just talk about it 8 days a week, well, what do you expect when you get there? It's never going to live up to your expectation unless it's exactly what you were thinking. I mentioned as well, if you turn snitch, yeah, you do get stitched up in the black neighborhoods. I will say yes, you will end up in a ditch. Now, white people snitching, girl, what do you think white collar crime is? That they do it all the damn time. But you're right, they go find an island to be on where they're not around any of the people in which they narked out. But yeah, no, that's what a plea deal is. Plea deal is usually snitching. I give you something in exchange. Talk about it. That shit happen all the time. You gotta watch them crime shows I be watching. Them first 48. We don't need to continue to reassert our feelings of dislike for Daniel Panabaker. I feel like I only say that because you're like, I don't even like Frost or DP. I'm just saying we can just address what's in the show. I think criticizing what's in the show is fair game. I think everything outside of it, we all know that she can't act. These are things that have been beat into submission. It's a known fact. We don't have to caveat that at all. It's, this is a shitty storyline for Frost. And it's not going to change because we just know that she signed a contract. So this is what we got. People do get sick, I will say. Don't need to go to the doctor. But seriously, what is she sick of? I was wondering, like, does she have the flu? She got chicken pox? She got the Rona? She said she's sick. That could be anything. She might not have needed to go to the doctor. I'd be sick. I don't go to the doctor all the time. Maybe because I'm one of those people that just like, do I want to get this $1,000 ER bill so they can send my ass home talking about rest? But I don't think that she's going to be preggers anytime soon. And me personally, I think I've stated I don't need her to be. They need to push that shit out as long as they possibly can. And the last point is about, see, now I'm backtracking on my own, idea about Bart being, possibly on the wrong side of the law. Only because they did that stupid ass promo picture showing Bart, and I saw that thing and I was like, oh no. That was absolutely atrocious. Please don't. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, he's gonna be Bart Allen then, the way Nora was playing Nora Allen, and now I'm thinking Nora's gonna be the evil one. That's why they introduced her in the first episode, like, yeah, it's gonna be okay, Dad. When I turn out and I'm super evil. But I will say that there's nothing to guarantee that even our Nora will be the same person. Their trajectories have all changed now. So what is that question Barry was asking? What is our future now? That's up there for debate. No one knows what their future is going to look like. Just like he don't know them twins is coming. He going to have 2 instead of 1. His daughter might not be his baby girl. She might be his mortal enemy. But I like what you're thinking. Like, it's a civil war. You start the idea of a civil war. I think I was going there. I think it still might be. We had the whole, like, everything is leading up to that, it would seem. Based on, a good chunk of the graphic novel 3 about how your children might not be good, but they're still your children. You gotta love them and show them all la la la. And then you have everyone else with their family members that are on the bad side of the law, or a boyfriend in this case, or wannabe boyfriend. And then we're like, yeah, but they're still good. So to me, that's the running theme, and possibly the catch-22. It would have been nice to be Bart, but after that wreck-ass photo, I'm like, yeah, people want Bart Allen. They want the male version of him. They don't want the female version of him. But we have a daughter. And if you know much about the comics, you know that the daughter slides on the Thawne side of things. So, when you talk about Civil War, shit could be really popping off in the future. And I think we're going to get there. I think that this is just the beginning of it. It's just a taste of it, so to speak. I do think that they are going to eventually get to those things that you may have expectations for. They're just going to slow play it. Because I'm looking at this right now. It looks like Marcus Stokes. I liked him. Yeah, I liked him. He's coming back to direct next episode. Oh shit, that's getting me excited. You said you didn't like the Kramer stuff? Is that what you stated? I can't remember. The Joe and Kramer stuff. I actually like that a lot. But to each his own. And I always love your feedback. I love your differing opinion. I would love to hear what you would have wanted the episode to go like, or just did you expect the twins to show up in this episode? But yeah, you can tell me that offline. And last but certainly not least, let's hear what Shy has to say about this episode.
Hey Christina, it's me, Shy. I am here to give my feedback for The Flash Season 7, Episode 15. This one won't be that long. To be quite honest, I had a very, very long day and really exhausted. And matter of fact, another long week. But it's halfway over. I mean, it's more than halfway over. Wednesday's over. So thankfully, yes. So I'm definitely going to be looking into some time off pretty soon to try to recover and all that. I'm no longer the spring chicken like I used to, and I can work these long hours and not feel it anyway. But as for this episode, I really enjoy this one. I'm glad that we're finally getting down to business with this Godspeed arc, because they've been teasing this thing since season 6, episode 1, season 6, when he came and they caught him in the modem. And so then we got another tease with another episode later on in season 6. So finally, or at least hopefully, we'll get some answers as to what's going on, who sent them, why, what do they want. I know Barry said, in the one Godspeed said they want speed, but why? Like, what is going on with that? Then why were the Godspeeds attacking each other? So that's another question that needs an answer. So I know there's 3 episodes left, so hopefully that means they're just gonna get down to business and we're not gonna be wasting any time with shenanigans. I enjoyed Chester in this episode. He was cute. I enjoyed West Allen, even though it was minus one part of the West Allen duo. But from what I was listening to a podcast and a reaction, and they were saying that she went home, so she was quarantining during this episode, so she wasn't able to be in it. I don't know how true that is. I'm just saying that's what I heard. So that would make sense why they had to write her out of this episode, even though it wouldn't make sense for her not to be in it, especially with them talking about finding out whether or not they're pregnant. So obviously it couldn't be helped. If she was quarantined, that means she had to go back to the States for whatever reason. So it was disappointing not to see her, because I'm sure that would have been some cute scenes between her and Barry. But Barry, he held his own, his ridiculous, crazy self, being so extra, first with Chester and trying to, I'm like, darn well you don't need to go to Star Labs to check out to see if Iris is pregnant, with all them nosy bodies or busy bodies over there. Of course, then he goes to his lab, and then we got nosy Cecile and her being so invasive. I'm like, dude, I would love to have that power personally, but at the same time, like, really, that is so invasive, just reading people's minds without their permission, or this is not some enemy or some threat. These are your family and friends, so you shouldn't be reading their minds without their permission. But anyway, that's what I'll say about that. But so I guess she was kind of taking the place of Iris in some scenes because Candace couldn't be there. And then we got to see just how excited. It was just so nice to see Barry so excited about the possibility of having a baby and being a dad. For real. I know Nora came back in season 5, but legit do the right way, like he was saying in that season. And speaking of Nora, I should say Nora West Allen, because there's been so many Noras that we got to be more specific now when we're saying who it is. But yeah, that was such a surprise to see her. It was so nice. And of course that got Barry thinking that they could be pregnant because of that dream. So I thought that was beautiful, seeing her. So just giving us a taste of what's to come. So that was a pleasant surprise, seeing her. Like I said, I enjoyed all the action, the Godspeed battles, and I think that's it. I don't know what's going on with that Joe and Kramer storyline. Hopefully it'll make sense. I know he's not dead, so we'll see what's going on with that. Like I said, seeing the disappointment on Barry's face at the end, finding out they're not pregnant. But I'm on the belief that I don't think that was accurate. I think she is pregnant, and it's just that test wasn't done accurately, because maybe there's something phooey. Because he was talking about that earlier in the episode, about how they gotta test it special because she's he's a speedster, and so I'm thinking that she really is pregnant, and that negative test, and they probably would have done. This is just me thinking that they would have done the reveal maybe in this episode if Candace had been in the episode, but because she wasn't, they put it off for another episode. For when she's there, and we could get both their reaction to her being pregnant, because I definitely wouldn't have wanted for it to be positive and she's not there. That's kind of weird. It's kind of I wouldn't have wanted to see it done that way. So anyway, that's all I got. Until next time, much love, peace, and Black Girl Magic. Queen of the Couch, Shy.
That was Shy with ow. Damn, I just hit my arm. Hurt. That was Shy with her thoughts on the episode. I'm just disagreeing with my friends tonight. What is up with this? I don't like it. But sorry that you're having you've been having some really rough weeks. Have you tried tea? I've tried tea over coffee, and it's been helping me very much so. I don't know what it is, but Yeah, I know what you mean, not being that spring chicken anymore. Gotta think of other ways in which to, supplement that energy needed. But you also have an emotionally draining job as well. Can need a vacation, but I can Google some coping things. Because I've been doing it for myself too, just like for a lot of, work and looking into a lot of screen. Like, just sometimes I just feel drained, and I know, like, me starting to drink tea, and I'm not saying this is going to help, but I do know that what that feels like to have that need to, like, man, I need to keep back up with this workload that I'm getting. So, I don't know, maybe we can RCPS it in the chat. But Shy 2 thinks that there should be a ramp up on the Godspeed thing because the last 4 episodes. See, I just disagree on that. I think that's just the way I've felt about the season as a whole. I feel like there could be close to a resolution. It seems as if there might be one, but I'm perfectly fine with it needing to overflow into the next season. And the reason why is because we had an overflow from last season. I think because of how it ended last year, I keep those things, and they're just, like, it doesn't make sense to me to put, like, it's really even weird to put 3 arcs in one season. You're kind of pushing it because you're like, it's a good idea how he's doing it, and that's the right way you want to do a 17, 18, 20, whatever episode season, is to break it down. But the problem is that when you came in those first 4 episodes were from last season, you lost that benefit of really able to give the adequate amount of time to connect those dots that's closer to the Godspeed thing. And then you needed to now you had to readjust. There was a lot of readjusting in season 7. Ralph's no longer gone. What they were going to do with the Sue thing. All of that changed the plan. Whatever the plan was, they had to come up with a different plan so that it works not only for COVID, but it also addresses all of the baggage that you left over from the last season that you weren't able to get through, and now you've had to rework those ideas. Maybe from just a writing perspective, I see all of the challenge there. So you're not going to have that. I think it could be tighter for those expectations or that idea of this Godspeed thing supposed to be bigger than it is. I think because, again, people have been saying it's big. Godspeed's not the biggest thing that fucking happened in the comics. But when you put all of that emphasis on something, people think it is. And yes, I get what your point being. Yeah, this has been trailing since season 5. But technically, season 5 was a one-off. And then season 6, yes, they started with that. I think they had every intention on getting back to it by the end of season 6, but they never had the chance. So now they had to find a way to organically introduce it once again, while also dealing with the rest of the mess with the black hole and that fallout and so on and so forth. So I think some of the things just, unfortunately, everything can't be done in the same season. I'm not making an excuse for it. I'm just saying why I don't have those same thought processes, and this is why I'm thinking about this instead of that. So yeah, I don't need a something heading towards like this epic finale and maybe I'm not taking your words though, because you said there's only 3 episodes go. There's no time for shenanigans. Well, I mean, there's gonna have to be some. We need to know what the fuck's going on. They got the Kramer situation. There's Adam. Who the fuck is he? Is he connected to the Godspeed thing? We don't know. There's a lot of things that's going to be side quests that's not going to be related to Godspeed. And I don't think that that's going to be quote unquote shenanigans. I have to see before I can criticize, I guess. But I think that they are based on, once again, that map. If they would have made that map a lot more transparent, I bet that would have been a lot easier. But it is, technically, it's on Wikipedia. But you know what? let me be fair. He did say in the beginning of the season it was going to be broken down into 3 parts. And thus far, he really did. We're in the 3rd part. The first 3 episodes don't count. They're part of last season. So if he's telling you we're going to break this in 3 episodes, the thing is, you thought not you, but you know what I mean. Fans probably expected less of the God complex or God storyline, and that probably, and wanted more of the latter storyline. But the latter storyline, a lot of it couldn't even be done because there was this thing called a pandemic that didn't allow, like, the people that are on set and they can get close and they can do this, they're able to do a lot more than they previously were able to do. And you can tell, like, at least I can tell from the production side on how they're filming and the scenes and everything. I can tell they're, and that's the benefit of the Flash continuing to film as things are happening, is that, you know, in Canada definitely was way above on us as far as getting their people. I mean, fucking Charm, look, they were kissing like 4 episodes ago with getting the vaccine and all that stuff. So it's more than just the 30 minutes of television. And I understand if no one really thinks outside that far, but sometimes ruminating on these things can inform you a little bit more. At least it informs me a little bit better on what they're trying to accomplish. And again, I'm not excusing, critiquing. Everything they accomplish clearly is not a success. Last episode, certainly, I had those feelings. But with what they're doing now, like, this is the beginning of one graphic novel. Like, you're not supposed to have all that. And who's to say that it's supposed to end on the episode, the next 3 episodes? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. If it's to be serviced, depending on how they're trying to service this, I can't, like, part of me can't even, I'm cautioning my own self, because I'm like, well, I really can't say much about what could happen or what should happen, because I don't know what they're planning with. I never knew what they were planning with the Godspeed thing, to be quite frank. Like, it's not supposed to be a relative. It's not supposed to be just a guy that's best friends with Barry, who actually thinks that criminals should be killed instead of put in jail because that's not working. So that is the difference of Godspeed character. Like, that's what he's supposed to be. So maybe I'm just disconnected. I haven't been watching many fan reactions either, because most people, like, unless you're a Flash version, like, I love Real Talk reactions because they don't get into any bullshit, and they watch very much like I watch. Like, they just sit down and they watch the episode. They don't have all these ideas. They haven't thought about it for weeks or contemplated it. They just sit down and watch the episode. And that's how I've been watching The Flash, quite frankly, since season 6. And every episode I take at that value and criticize it for that. And sometimes I'm right about something, sometimes I'm wrong. Like, I love that being wrong too, when the Cecile thing seemed like stupid and yet it was connected to something. So that's why I'm a little bit more, me having egg in my face, cautious about, well, this may have not made sense right now, but that's not to say it won't make sense, or reverse. I feel like I just went on a whole bunch of tangent about nothing. Just based on a differing viewpoint. And that's not to invalidate your viewpoint. It's just I have this completely, that's why I'm not, when I say I'm disagreeing, I don't see it like that. And I also just have this idea that I don't need a constant Iris to have Wes Allen scenes. I just don't need it. I don't have that gut punch reaction. Oh, she's pregnant, so they should be together and find out the news. And they don't have to be pregnant. Most people, like, the realistic story though is, like, I guess maybe that is in fiction. You really want to see the ideal version of events, and I'm more like a realist. Fuck that shit. If I got pregnant and I'm Iris at home and my husband's running around doing all this shit, like, and I'm sick, at the moment too, I'm like, nah, you do you. You call me when you get them fucking results. Cause if it's positive, great. Like, every pregnancy though is a celebration. This one will be because they're trying to. But it's not just, I don't have that same expectation. I feel like I've used that word 20 million times. We should all drink to how many times I've said expectation. I don't need it. But I'm not as keen as everyone else is on the baby storyline. I'm not even the mindset that she's really pregnant. I'm thinking this is the perfect way that you, like, it shouldn't be an instant thing. Hey, we decided to have babies, now we're fucking pregnant. Hey, that's not how it works anyway. You know, you try and you try again, and it may not be this month. It might be next month. It may be the next a month after that. You might be sterile. Just because you knew you had a child in the future doesn't mean it was supposed to be an easy thing. And I think that's where Barry is having a trouble with, because he started on this road and now he's only on this one track mind. And it's like, bruh, it doesn't need to happen right now. And if it doesn't happen right now, it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's fine. I'm also a big fan of, I don't constantly use Iris. Like, I know she's just the star for everyone, particularly black people who watch The Flash, but I also come for The Flash. I don't need to have Iris involved in everything all the time, even if it is a storyline revolving her. I think they did the best they could. Once again, I didn't even need to know why she did it. Like, I feel as if that's justifying yourself to an audience that really, you don't owe them that. I just don't feel you owe people that. But I already went on my rant about celebrities and how we treat them. And we don't think that we're like, oh, we're just supporting you. But that's a kind of pressure too. It really is. I don't think people realize that. I thought focusing on his reaction was fine. I thought the phone calls was a good way to utilize that. I think that it's fine that you would be disappointed if you want that scene to be of them together. That's your expectation. That's totally normal to want that thing. All I'm saying is I don't need it, and I don't need constant Iris, and I don't need constant Wes Allen for a show, or for the show to be a successful episode, even if she is talked about or something is involving her in some capacity. And he was calling Cecile nosy. To be fair, I don't think that she read his mind. Actually, I know she didn't read his mind. She is able, her emotions, like, other than that one time they showed her reading people's minds and then they kind of backtrack on how they wanted her power to be, because you really don't need to be that OP. No one needs a Killgrave. But her powers are that she can feel people's emotions when she's around them. So I don't find that as invasive. It's more like, you're acting weird. I go next to you. I pick up on the vibes that you're putting out, and I'm putting A and B and C together. I don't know if that's nosy as much as that's, I'm like, what you doing? Like, I would do that to all my friends. Like, if you're doing something and you're acting in a manner that makes me think you're up to something, yeah, I'm gonna be a little like, what's up? How you forgot lunch, motherfucker. If you was out front for lunch, then maybe I wouldn't be looking at your urine sample right now and wondering what's going on. And it's a lab. It's okay to be inquisitive about what's going on in the lab. But yes, if she was reading emotions, I would totally, or reading people's minds, I'd be like, yeah, that's fuck. I think that's why they made sure to get rid of that, because they have that whole arc with Joe being like, yeah, it's fucked up that you read my mind. And I'm not sure if they are consistently, I haven't seen it since the Joe shit. And that was season, 5? I feel it in the last 2 seasons, they've kind of redacted, and it's her and the emotional thing, not so much as I can physically read your mind and your thoughts. But correct me on that. I could be wrong. What else? And yeah, I think I already addressed the Iris pregnant thing. I don't want her to be pregnant. I know I'm probably like the only person in the fandom, but I'm like, shit, that needs to be pushed off to season 8. Season 8 mid-season, because this Godspeeds thing should really not be wrapped up, especially if this is somehow involving the future kids. Like, if you're gonna start with the future shit, man, there needs to be a story arc after that, and I'm pregnant just ain't it for me. Then I just gotta be, I don't know. I just don't know. Don't know. I'm just going in circles now, and I think we need to just conclude the conversation. Love your feedback as well. I cannot always just agree. However, I respect all of your opinions. So if you want to have more of this topic of conversation, we can just talk offline. If you want to join in the conversation, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Until next time, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic.